Hello and welcome to the Yorkshire Voice. This Monday, the 24th of March, I'm Matthew Dudley.
And I'm Theo Darville. Coming up on this afternoon's programme.
5 years on since the pandemic, we look at how the COVID-19 virus is still impacting upon people's health.
Some sobering news as the cost of a pint is set to rise above the UK average of £5 for the first time, as looming taxes force landlords to hike their prices.
And we catch up with the Worth Valley Rail Heritage Line at their annual Steam Train Gala.
But first, it was 5 years ago yesterday that Boris Johnson said to the British public, "You must stay at home." The COVID-19 pandemic had far-reaching consequences that people are still feeling today. We have spoken to a nurse and two long COVID sufferers about the lasting impact of the virus and how it has had on our society. We go now to Holly Hughes for this special report.
5 years ago on Sunday, then Prime Minister Boris Johnson made this announcement.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home. Because the critical thing we must do to stop the disease spreading between households.
The COVID-19 lockdowns irrevocably changed society. The first lockdown caused a historic recession, school closures disrupted education, and the healthcare system was pushed to breaking point. First, we spoke to Kath Black, a nurse who delayed her retirement to help out during the pandemic.
There were some days where I just sort of sat in the car crying because the amount of work and the amount of people you had to see was overwhelming. But more to the point, you saw some really, really sad situations, not necessarily COVID related, but and you literally just didn't have the time to do anything about them other than the immediate need kind of thing. So it was pretty tough. The first lockdown was probably essential. And in fact, if anything, probably too late. But whether I do think it was not right, particularly to close schools. I think that's had a terrible impact on children and families. And, the evidence was quite early on that children, it was not a serious illness in children. So I think the harm done by closing schools was immense.
200,000 people died from COVID-19, and while many who contracted the virus recovered, others became ill and 5 years later are still feeling its effects. In a condition now recognised as long COVID, sufferers have told us of their struggles. Sam Clements contracted the virus 4 years ago.
So it's to do with your body's response to the infection initially. So it's like your fight or flight. So your body recognises the COVID and it works really hard to fight it off. And then it doesn't seem to sort of stop. So your body's still in this constant sort of heightened, we're going to get attacked, which causes you to feel very tired. For me, the big thing's the fatigue. So it's not just being extremely tired, it's extreme fatigue. I now know that I have to plan social events with work and anything that the children have got on and balancing it all up. Otherwise, I'm just out flat for days. I might never get better, but I have to believe I will get better. So it is, if anybody is out there suffering with symptoms, they are personal to you. You don't need to be validated by anybody else. It is a real thing. And you've just got to look after yourself.
Civil service worker Maya Grimes also contracted COVID in January 2021.
Whenever I get a cold, I'll be laid out for a couple of weeks. My partner can have the same thing, and my chest goes, I can't breathe very well, and I'm so tired. Everything's such a push. And the fog comes back. And then I think like a more day-to-day one, I'm not doing it this morning, which is great, but really rare. I forget words. I know exactly what I mean. I know what I'm trying to talk about. Like, it's a type of aphasia, right? So you can't quite find the word that you want. So I essentially play charades a lot, and it's the only way I can manage it. Because if you can't follow what I'm saying when I'm making up half of it, you are playing charades.
So whilst it seems that so much time has passed since we first heard the statement from Mr. Johnson, for many, COVID is far from over. If you or anyone you know is still struggling with the effects of the virus, You can contact COVID Aid, Asthma and Lung or Long COVID support.
Thank you, Holly. Now, it has been announced today that as of next week, the price of a pint is set to rise above the national average of £5 for the first time.
Research commissioned by the British Beer and Pub Association has revealed that landlords have been left with little choice as looming taxes and greater overheads will force most to pass those costs onto the customer.
Our reporter Sinead Ferry went to find out more.
Beer lovers in Leeds will soon be paying more for their pints as prices are set to rise above £5. The increase comes as pubs face higher costs due to tax break cuts, a rise in the minimum wage and soaring interest rates.
As prices are going up, it does also mean we're buying it in slightly more expensive, which means the margin is getting slimmer. It's finding the right balance of, are we still doing enough volume to justify the price we're at? At some point, I'm sure we will have to go up slightly just to make sure that balance.
Headingley Taps has managed to keep their £2.50 student price, one of the cheapest pours in the city as prices continue to rise.
The key part of it is mainly the volume. Obviously, the profit margin per pint is a lot slimmer than other sites would have. But because we sell so many, being so ingrained in the student lifestyle around here, we're still able to make the profit out of it back at the end of it. As well as being part of Mitchell & Butler's a very big company, we're able to buy it in a lot cheaper than some of the independents around here, which gives us a better opportunity to sell it at a more aggressive price. But the predominant thing is the volume.
Many landlords say that they have no choice but to pass the costs on to customers, with some city centre pubs already charging over £6 a pint.
Thing is, I mean, yeah, the price of beer is going up, but then people's wages, like minimum wage, is going up and everything as well. So as long as they don't make the gap too far, I think people will still come to the pubs.
With inflation still hitting the hospitality sector, a cheap night out could soon be a thing of the past. Sinead Ferry, Yorkshire Voice.
Well, it's a major gripe for most motorists with the so-called pothole plague blighting the nation's highways. In fact, according to the RAC, there are 6 potholes for every mile of road. Now, the Department of Transport has promised to increase the pothole budget for councils by £500 million from next month.
However, the promise of cash comes with a catch, as councils will be expected to publish reports detailing their progress on fixing potholes, or face losing a quarter of the extra funding. Our reporter, Benjamin Monsey, has more.
The Department for Transport have announced today that they'll be increasing the council budget for potholes by £500 million. However, this increase comes with conditions. If they want to receive more than just 75% of it, councils will have to publish a report about how they intend to go about dealing with the issue of potholes. In the past, the Local Government Association has said that the process dealing with potholes has been too reactive, and instead councils should focus on preventative measures. The RAC has some figures saying that there are 6 potholes for every mile of road in England. Here in Leeds, the amount of potholes has increased by 60% over the last 5 years. Now, the Prime Minister spoke today about the news. He said that British people are bored of seeing politicians aimlessly pointing at potholes with no real plans to fix them. I spoke with a disgruntled resident in Leeds earlier about how potholes affected them. How do potholes affect you?
So they affect me because when I'm driving down the road in my car, my tyre goes down the side of it, and also with the weather conditions as well. When it's icy, my car slips on them because they've iced over, and when it's wet as well, it splashes up on the car, and it just makes the roads really unsteady to drive on.
Do you think councils are doing enough to fix the potholes?
No, I don't, and especially when you're paying for parking on the roads that have got the potholes on as well, and then they're not giving you any support with making them better.
Emily Griffiths there, ending that report. Now, from holes in the road to holes in the pavements, a surge of paving stone thefts in the Roundhay area has been causing an increasing amount of concern among the local residents. The Yorkshire stones are highly sought after for their durability, and replacing them is costing Leeds taxpayers tens of thousands of pounds. Anna Barnes is now live to tell us more.
Yes, thanks, Matt. Well, I'm here in Oakwood with Tony Quinn today, who's a concerned local resident. So, Tony, could you tell us a bit more about how is this issue impacting the local residents here?
Well, in all kinds of ways, really. I mean, it's a blight on the neighbourhood that's been going on since I moved here in 2010. So 15 years we've been getting York stone flag stolen. This week and last week, you can see behind us some red barriers here. That's a batch that went a week ago. There's a batch further up went a few days before that. We're still waiting for the council to come and patch those up. it affects everybody. We've got, there's some, like it's not really sheltered accommodation, but assisted living just over the road. There's people there who are disabled. We've got residents there, one particularly who's blind, trying to walk along these what used to be pavements. But the area that concerns me most now is that the thefts are ongoing. They've been ongoing all that time, with all the different ideas that the council have come up with of smart water and marking them and all this. It all still happens. What happens after that is what concerns me. It's completely within Leeds City Council's remit to do a nice job of repairing afterwards. And what we're getting is just the quality of that is just awful. It is absolutely unacceptable. We're left with crumbling tarmac around what I call broken biscuits, which are the flagstones that even the thieves didn't want, which for some reason the council thinks in character with the conservation area to leave them here for us. So at the moment, I'm really focusing on campaigning to get a better job of the restitution and repairs that are done after the thefts. Stopping the thefts, fair enough. If we see a crime in progress, we can ring 999. If we see some missing flags, we can't ring the police. They weren't ours. You can't say something was outside my door yesterday, it's not there today. It might have been stolen. The council, we report to the council, these flags have been missed. The council should report it to the police and the police could take some action. But what I really want are some acceptable repairs. It's a conservation area.
Thank you for joining us today. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Anna. As part of Bradford's 2025 City of Culture celebrations, an open iftar was held over the weekend to invite people from all faiths and backgrounds to break their fast together at sunset for Ramadan. The event is not just about food, but an exchange of cultures. Our reporter, Sundas Abdi, went down to Bradford to learn more.
Just go talk to somebody who you've never met before, introduce yourselves and get to know each other.
Iftar, buka puasa and afur are all words for breaking the fast at sunset during Ramadan, a time of reflection and community. Open Iftar, described as an event to turn strangers into friends, first came to Bradford in 2018, inviting people from all walks of life to share a meal and meaningful conversations.
You don't have to fast to be part of an open iftar, but it's really lovely when people do, because being able to step in each other's shoes, being able to kind of see how we each live, that helps break down barriers. And in the world today and how we are, it's incredibly important that we do that. The UK City of Culture is an opportunity for a city to tell its own story. So I know that this City of Culture is diverse, it's inclusive, it's accessible. It's also the best City of Culture so far.
You see like events like we're just at now with big open iftar events, or whether it's mosque collections or whether it's other school visits or events. It's about bringing the community together and making the community feel that we are one body.
It's great because it shows anybody can take part, and particularly these days when the world is so divided and fractious, sharing food is one of the best things you can do to get on with people and really understand where somebody else is coming from. So we need more of this, not less of it, don't we really? So I think this is just one opportunity to come together.
There's quite a lot of different feelings about Islam, right, amongst all kinds of different places in Europe, the States. There's a lot of paranoia at the moment, and I just wish that some folk could experience what I've experienced today.
As Ramadan draws to a close, communities across the UK are now preparing for Eid celebrations at the end of the week. Sundas Abdi for Yorkshire Voice.
And now we turn our attention to another event of a very different kind in West Yorkshire. The annual Worth Valley Railway Steam Gala took place this weekend across a 4-day event celebrating all things locomotive.
The Heritage Line, which runs from Keighley to Oxenhope, has seen a huge injection of funding recently after receiving a £5 million grant as part of the Labour government's Levelling Up scheme. We went down to the gala to find out more.
The railway was originally set up to preserve the line for the local people, really, and then we've steadily grown and become, a true heritage railway. And there are a number of tourists with it. I mean, I think last year We brought in, I think, about 120,000 passengers travelled on our line. And it contributes to the economy, everything from eateries, pubs, cafeterias, shops, everything. And people love us. I mean, the railway itself has a very good relationship with the local populace. Most recently with our major civil engineering project of replacing the bridge at Haworth. Well, the grand reopening here at Oakworth is because our station here is very much the jewel in the crown of our stations, the most authentic of them all, and restored more to the Midland era, which is roughly around 1900. The station's goods yard has undergone massive refurbishment this year with many grants involved to overhaul the goods shed, which is possibly the last remaining fully operational and intact goods shed in Britain. And it will act as a marvellous opportunity to teach future generations about how goods was handled on the railways, which obviously was the main reason why they were built, and how most of Britain's industrial growth came and its wealth throughout the 19th and 20th century.
Now, in our special People of Yorkshire feature, business owner Hannah Murray is paving the way for women and breaking down barriers in a male-dominated industry.
After making the leap to take over the butcher's shop in Hebden Bridge last year, the business has gone from strength to strength and is now run entirely by women. We went down to Calder Valley to find out more.
I started this with very little knowledge of butchery. I had basic anatomical knowledge from biology and also from like farming, I guess, in general. But actually learning a new skill and being able to pick it up quite quickly, I didn't expect that to happen as quickly as it did, and I've been really pleased about that. But I think because I'm so interested in it and I feel like it's my calling in life, to be honest, I feel really fulfilled by it. I think it's been easier to learn than I expected. I'd known the previous owner of the shop for a long time. He was a family friend. My brother actually worked here for a long time. And he said he was wanting to sell the shop, and it kind of came at a good time when we were thinking of moving back home to the family farm. My husband and I decided, well, it was a bit of a career change for me, but we thought the best way of marketing our own produce was to actually sell it ourselves and cut out the middleman. And we're hoping that it's going to future-proof the farm for us when we take over eventually. I think a lot of people are really interested in animal welfare as well, and having local food, and I think that's something that stuck with me. Like, quite a few people are really appreciative of what we're trying to achieve. So there's a little old couple that come in and they ring up sometimes and they order some of we do like some added value products, so like chicken fillets with a mushroom sauce wrapped in bacon, and they ring up on a Saturday sometimes and ask us to make them for them. And when they come in, they just said, you know, you've really changed our lives with these. And as much as that sounds like a massive statement, they said we just got so bored of food, and it's so lovely to find something such high quality that is so tasty, and we just absolutely love them. And that really made me think, oh, I'm actually doing something really worthwhile.
Today marks National Cocktail Day.
The International Bartenders Association, or IBA, has 102 official recognised cocktail specifications, so there is something for everyone, for every palate to enjoy. From the classic dry martini to the well-shaken margarita, our reporters Ahmed and Eric found out what separates a good cocktail from a great one.
Shaken, stirred or on the rocks. March the 24th marks National Cocktail Day, a time to celebrate the art of mixology across bars and lounges nationwide. From classic margaritas to modern craft creations, people everywhere are raising a glass to celebrate their favourite drinks. But what makes cocktails so popular? I stopped by the Brotherhood Bar in Leeds to have a chat with bartender Yaz Boltrart, who shared some insight into why cocktails continue to be a crowd favourite.
I think it's half the show. It's half, sometimes they taste nice, sometimes they're like just very sour or stuff. But a lot of the time I think it is the show. It looks pretty, it's presentable, especially in summertime. It's more what you want to sit and drink, like a picture of a cocktail rather than like a picture of wine or something. It's more enjoyable for people, isn't it, like that? Yeah, so I think at least.
So whether you prefer a timeless old-fashioned or a creative new concoction, National Cocktail Day is the perfect excuse to sip and celebrate. And as Yaz says, it's not just about the drink, it's about the experience. Cheers to that. Ahmed Sadala, Yorkshire Voice.
Well, earlier today, me and Matt decided to do our best Tom Cruise impression. As it is National Cocktail Day, we thought we'd take you through our favourite cocktail, the margarita. So you start off by cycling the rim and filling the glass with ice. The first measurement is 50 millilitres of tequila. Next up, we have an orange-based alcohol, such as Contral or Triple Sec. 20 mils of that. Finally, we have 25 mils of lime juice to go in there. And now it's time to shake with some ice. To serve. So you pour over ice. And then you slide it over to this gentleman here. Cheers.
It was so much fun to do, but please remember to always drink responsibly.
And we can now cross over to Will with the sport.
Thank you, Theo. It was a busy weekend of sport across Yorkshire. Leeds Rhinos took a hard-fought 12-10 victory against Wigan Warriors on Saturday evening, as they moved up to 6th in the Super League table. The Rhinos have had an eventful week off the pitch too, as it was announced that coach and former player Jamie Jones-Buchanan is set to take over as club CEO at the end of the season. We spoke to him ahead of this weekend's game about the new role.
So I've got loads of work to do. That'll never end in terms of understanding what our fans need, want. But ultimately, I think I'd be able to guess as well, and that's to find some success or hope of success, to be challenging for trophies, to be winning games, to be competing in an entertaining way, to be bringing youth through, giving opportunities for our young players.
A few miles down the road, Bradford City broke their league attendance record as 23,000 people packed into Valley Parade when they took on Colchester United in a top-of-the-table clash. 2 goals apiece from Callum Kavanagh and Georgia Lapsley saw the Bantams run out 4-1 winners in a dominant display. Elsewhere in Yorkshire, Barnsley and Harrogate Town could only pick up draws, while York City and Halifax Town of the National League were defeated on non-league day. That's all from me. Back to you.
Now it's time to find out what the weather's got in store for us with Drew Ashmore.
After a particularly rainy weekend, today is going to be much drier. Across the region, there will be mostly cloudy skies with intermittent spells of sunshine throughout the day. Temperatures in Yorkshire are around 13 to 14 degrees this evening. Tonight, it's set to get colder, with temperatures falling to around 6 or 7 degrees. The rest of the week looks set for cloudy skies with a chance of rain towards the weekend, and temperatures will have highs of 14 degrees and lows of 4 degrees at night.
Well, I'm afraid that's all we have time for today. If you want to stay up to date with all of our local stories, please be sure to follow the Yorkshire Voice on social media.
And we look forward to seeing you back here at 4 p.m. tomorrow, when we'll have all the latest on the stories affecting our region. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
See you tomorrow, and that's goodbye.